Okay. Hi, everybody. It's Dan Barrett from Marketing Naturally. Thank you so much for watching this week's free webinar. This week we are doing, let me just load this up here. This week we're doing the second part of everything you wanted to know about email marketing, but were afraid to ask. We did this the last webinar. We did our first session. This is the second one. And today we're going to be dealing with a slightly different topic. We're going to be talking about how to design effective email sales cycles. So we're going to be talking about how you actually use the mailing list that we talked about setting up in the first webinar to increase your business, make more money, etc. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm real excited. I hope you are too. Just in case, I haven't introduced myself to you already if you're a new person. My name's Dan. I run a company that's called Marketing Naturally, of course, and also run another company that is called Two Friendly Nerds. And I work with people to help them connect with more customers online. That's what I do. So Two Friendly Nerds is centered here in Connecticut. It's more local. Marketing Naturally is works with a lot of health professionals, so personal trainers, naturopathic doctors, nutritionists, etc. So that's where I'm coming from. And I'm excited to talk to you today because this is a really, really cool topic. And it's a big one. So we're not going to be able to get super, super deep into it, but I'm going to give you a lot of stuff to think about today that I think is really going to make a big difference for you if you can figure out how you're going to implement it. I want to talk a little bit about the old model of sales, right? And this is the kind of traditional sales model that everyone has grown up with. And this is how it would normally go, right? Step one is that someone comes into your sales funnel or your sales cycle, whatever you want to call it, and they basically know about you through your marketing. And so they have awareness of you. It's like they're saying, I'm interested in your business. Now, the second phase of that is that you have a sales conversation with that person. Basically, you're trying to sell them something. So you say, I have this service, this product, whatever it is. Are you interested in purchasing it? Step three is they either buy it or they don't. So that's pretty simple, right? They either say, that sounds awesome, I want to buy your service, and then they do, or they don't do that at all and they kind of go that you guys go your separate ways. Now, this model is really based on this idea called intent. And what I mean by that is saying, or what I mean to say is that when someone enters into a sales conversation with you, when they come into your store, when they call you up, when they email you directly, they know what they're getting themselves into, right? They know that they're going to be sold something. And because sales conversations can be fairly antagonistic, if you think about it, someone's trying to convince you to do something, and you have to resist in order to make sure that you get the best deal out of that situation. It can be tiring. It requires willpower to kind of get through it. So sales conversations can be kind of antagonistic, and no one enters into a sales conversation unless they have intent. Now, intent is just saying, I have the intent to do business with you. I want to enter into the sales conversation because I know I need what you have. And you really need to have a lot of intent to go through this cycle. If I don't have that intent, I'm just not going to get into it. And that's an approach that's really made for traditional sales, right? I'm walking into a store, someone's coming to my door, and I either decide to let them in or not. This is really the traditional model, but there are really kind of basic problems when we take this traditional model and move it online. Now, I want to take a quick break and point out to you how horrible this clip art is. So really just think about that for a little bit. But the issues are when we move the traditional sales model, this guy is really killing me in this picture. This whole clip art thing is really destroying me. But anyway, so the problems when we move kind of traditional sales online is that people get in touch with you online or interact with your website or whatever it is for all sorts of reasons. And they all have varying degrees of intent. Now, I might come to your website because I want to do business with you and I have a lot of intent, but I might also visit your website because I just happen to click on an ad. I might visit your website because someone referred me to you and I just want some more information. I might, not even know if I need what you have. Maybe I'm just kind of doing some research for possibly further in the future. All of these different people are going to have different levels of intent. And unless they have a lot of intent, they're not going to go through that traditional sales funnel. They're not going to get into a sales conversation with you if all they want is a little bit more information, if all they want is to kind of see what you're all about. They're not going to get into that because, like I said, it's kind of an antagonistic situation. And if you're not ready to be sold something, you don't want to be sold anything. The problem is that online, when this happens and we go through a traditional sales cycle and someone's not ready for it, they just leave. And when people leave online, it's very, very hard to get them back. So there are pretty fundamental problems here, right? The problems are different levels of intent, what we just talked about, right? People may not be ready to hear your sales conversation. And that means a lot of lost opportunities. Very, very hard to get people to come back to your website. They may not even remember what your business name is, right? The other problem is that there's only one number to improve here, and there's only one number that matters. Now, we said the traditional sales cycle, right, is awareness, sales conversation, they buy or they don't. The only number you care about, if that's your cycle, is the buy or not buy number. That's it. And there's only one way to improve that number, really. You have to get more people into the beginning of the funnel. So if you want to sell more people, you got to get more people to be aware of you through marketing. And that's really all you're doing. It really limits you strategically because there's just not a lot of pieces to improve. Now, if this is the old model, right? And just like I said, there's only one way to improve it, and that's raising the step one, that marketing awareness, so we can get more people into step three, which is they buy or they don't. How do we get around this issue online? Because if we're losing a lot of people, because a lot of people don't have that intent online, then how do we overcome that? Well, the answer is life cycle marketing. And it's not a specific strategy. It's not a specific tool. I'm not going to give you any kind of 1, 2, 3 step thing that you're going to specifically do and it's going to work for everybody. It's an idea, and it's a deceptively simple idea because I've seen this approach have incredible effects on people's businesses, and I know for a fact that it works because it's worked in my business. And I've seen it raise revenues, decrease costs. It's just this incredibly powerful way of looking at how you market your business. Okay, and if I was going to put it simply, I would say that life cycle marketing is all about meeting the customer at the right point in their relationship with you. All right, so it's all about meeting the customer at the right point in their relationship. And this is, like I said, a simple idea, but when applied to your marketing is incredibly powerful. So here's an example of a life cycle in business. And this is just about marketing. So this is that first step of the traditional sales cycle, the marketing, raising awareness part, broken down into 4 steps. Of course, we start with pupa / larvae. I was making this, it was reminding me of like in fifth grade when you're doing biology and you had, we like grew mealworms and all that stuff. But in any case, so we got the pupa larvae stage, which is just that they know about you. All they know is that you exist. Step 2 is they're showing an interest. So they know you exist and they're also somehow interested in your business. Now, it's not the same as saying they have intent. They're not interested in doing business with you yet. They're just interested in the idea. Now, step 3 is they indicate some kind of willingness to talk to you, right? So they indicate that they might be willing to come into the store, might be willing to form a longer term relationship with the business. And then step 4, they move from just indicating that willingness to saying basically out loud, I want to do business with you. Now, those are really broad categories, right? And these are just kind of, I'm making them up. It's a hypothetical example. It's going to be a little different for every business that you get into. But if we take these and apply them practically to individual business steps, you can see a little bit about how this might apply. So for example, if in step 1 we say they're knowing about you, maybe that's just that they saw an ad. They didn't even click the ad. They just saw one. So they know about you. Now, step 2, showing an interest, that might be visiting your site. So they saw the ad, maybe they clicked on the ad, or they came to your site later, they remembered the name, whatever it is. They're visiting that site. That indicates interest in the business. Now, step 3, indicating a willingness to talk to you or continue that relationship. That might be something like signing up for an email list, or getting into some kind of continuous low risk relationship with you. And then step 4, wanting to do business. That might be an email or a call. That's our kind of traditional sort of marker for wanting to do business with you, right? So each of these steps now has an individual action that we want someone to take, and that we can clearly see through these actions which step of that relationship they're in with us. Let's take something different too. And this is something that not a lot of people think about, but this isn't only a marketing process in the sense of raising awareness for people who don't know about us. You can use this approach even for clients who are already doing business with you. So I took, for example, a common kind of approach that I take with clients that come to me for web design or marketing or whatever. And we have these individual projects that we're working on. So the life cycle of a project for me looks something like, in step 1 is someone that just signed up. Someone who's in step 2 of that life cycle, that project is in progress. We're working together on getting it done. Step 3 is the project finishes up. And step 4 is about 1 month after the project is finished. Now, this client is interested in and needs very different things at each step of this process. And I look at this process as an opportunity to continue growing my relationship with this person, right? So let's do the same thing. Let's think about what this would look like if it was practically applied. Step 1, just signed up. I might send that person a new client form. And that's going to get me more information about them and what they need, right? Step 2, when the project is in progress, I'll send them a welcome packet, which has some stuff about how we work and our company culture and things I think they need to know to make the whole process move really smoothly. Step 3, when they're finishing up, I tend to send them advice and kind of guides about what to do after the project. If it's a website, for example, how to keep marketing the website, how to update the website themselves, training and stuff they're going to find really valuable. And then step 4, about a month after, I do a personal follow-up. So I check in with them, I make sure everything's awesome, and I send them a satisfaction survey to make sure that we did a good job. Now, these are all just examples. And again, every business is going to be different, but you can see how in every phase, even for example, after the 1 month after this period, after this life cycle ends, another one begins. So I might have another life cycle for clients who have done something with me and now they're done. And I might work with them to say, okay, what else can we work on? What else can I help you with? So there are life cycles in your business for pretty much anything you can think of. And defining them down like this has a lot of really incredible benefits. So what are those benefits? Well, for one, it helps you stay in touch with people with low intent. And we said before that, people online tend not to have that really powerful intent that you might get when someone like walks into a store because they know they want to buy something. So staying in touch with people with low intent provides you with a no risk, a very low barrier to entry way of keeping those people in the fold. I just got a client this past week who I originally talked to him 2 years ago. And, he wasn't ready then. He had low intent. But I stayed in touch, right? And over those years, when he finally got to the right point in our relationship for him, he was ready to go. So it's really, really important that those people with low intent, it's not that they're bad uh, customers, right? It's not their fault. They're not ready. And if you can stay in touch with them in a way that builds value into your relationship, the likelihood that they're going to come back and purchase from you further down the road is really, really high. It also helps you to never be pushy. I hate being pushy. I hate selling people things. I really just, the whole process kind of isn't my thing. So by knowing the life cycle that people come in and having a way of defining what point in that cycle any given person is at, it helps you to only approach them with offers that they're ready for. And, I can know, for example, from the behavior of someone or what point in the cycle they are, whether they're ready to talk about doing a big ticket project or whether they might need some more time. So you never want to sell anybody anything too soon. It kind of just leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth. So this process really helps you define when is too soon and when is the right time, which, by the way, has the side effect of raising your sales rates. The thing that's nice about this as well is that people will actually approach you when they're ready. So, if you have someone in the cycle and you're kind of just continuously providing them with a little bit of value and you're staying in touch with them, they know when they're ready to go and they'll approach you. It's not like in the traditional sales cycle where you got to go knock on that door. You got to go cold call that person. You got to approach them when you want to sell them something. You're approaching them when they are ready to buy. So actually, everyone's happier in that situation. And then finally, it gives you metrics that you can work on improving. We said earlier that one of the drawbacks of the traditional sales cycle is that there's really only one number that matters: how many people you sold. But when you work with a life cycle marketing kind of platform, you can work on the amount of people that are moving from point to point within the cycle. So you don't have to necessarily worry about how many people you're selling. You can focus on how many people who had an interest indicated that they wanted to keep in touch. You can improve that number. And then you can think about improving the number of people who are transitioning from indicating that they have an interest to going into a continual long-term relationship with you. So you can see how this gives you really concrete ways that you can improve each step of your marketing rather than just kind of worrying about how many people am I shoving in the front of the funnel and how many people are coming in out the end. So one of the takeaways I want you to get out of this webinar is that email lists are great ways of doing lifecycle marketing because they're fast, they're cheap, and they're automatable. I don't know if that's a word. I want to say it's a word. In any case, they're incredible ways of doing this because you can automate a lot of email systems to, when someone signs up, they get the first 5 emails in a row, they're timed, so you're not sending them too often. Maybe you send once a week for 4 weeks, and you can kind of set up all that stuff. You can say, I know you're in this part of my life cycle, right? I know what you're looking for. I know how ready you are. So I'm going to give you material that's designed to give you a lot of value while simultaneously encouraging you to move up, move through the cycle and become a client or customer or a patient. So it's incredibly powerful to think about marketing this way. And I think that it's something that you should really think about how you can apply this basic philosophy to your business. And I kind of wanted to tell a story about a way that people can do this in a business that's not online at all. And what I was thinking about is this place, Iliano's, which is this pizza place where I live. And it's good pizza place, right? Really, really decent food. I mean, it's not like the world's best pizza, but they have grown and grown. They've got multiple locations. Everybody loves Iliano's. And they do this thing. I thought when I first time I saw this, I thought this was so brilliant. And it's actually a perfect example of life cycle marketing. When you walk into Iliano's, um, unlike a lot of pizza places that I've been in, they've got a lot of pies kind of already made you can buy by the slice. They've got a big glass case. You can look out and see all the pizzas out there. And that's, that's neat first because when you walk in, if you're ready to go and you know what you want, you just order right there, right? But if you don't know what you want, if you don't have that intent, right? If you're a little further back in the cycle, you might not be ready to just kind of sit down. So you need something else. So they have all these things kind of laid out for you. And when you are looking at these pizzas, usually what will happen is that they'll ask you to, they'll ask you if you know what you want. And if you say no, what they'll do is offer you a snack. And a snack is just like a third of a piece of pizza cut down the middle. So what that does is, they say like, okay, I know you're not ready to choose anything, but we want to keep you involved. We want to keep you here, obviously. You don't want you to walk out the door. So they're going to give you something that has no barrier to entry. And you're going to get a sense of what the pizza is going to be like. It's going to make you hungry. And everybody loves it, right? Everybody loves getting snacks at Iliano's. It's just really fun. So it's a really kind of interesting example of recognizing that people are ready for different things at different times. So whenever you can apply that thinking to how you interact with someone, you're increasing the opportunities for that relationship to continue. So just to go over really quick what we covered today, we talked about the traditional sales model and the problems with the traditional sales model, especially when you try to transition that online. We talked about lifecycle marketing, what it is, and why it's such a powerful idea. We talked about the benefits of designing lifecycle systems and how lifecycle systems can be specifically applied. That was when we talked about the steps and we talked about the specific actions. We even talked about a pizza place that can apply some of those ideas. So we covered a lot of stuff today. It's a huge idea, but what I really want you to do is start thinking about ways that you can use this philosophy in your email lists because it's really, really powerful and it saves you a ton of time. So here's what to do next if you're looking for stuff to do. I run this webinar. It's free. It's invite only every 2 weeks. So if you are interested in these kind of topics and getting more information like this, you should sign up for my email list, which is over at marketingnaturally.com. I don't email anybody too often. I just kind of let you know when the webinars are coming and if we're doing anything cool. And it's really fun. You'll be able to come to these every other week and get a lot of value out of that. We also have a blog you should check out. That's at marketingnaturally.com/blog. When I'm not doing the webinars, I do a long blog post every other week just on really valuable things I think people need to know about marketing their websites and kind of getting in touch with more people online. It's really, really valuable. So I'd love if you could check that out. And yeah, thank you so much for coming. If you have any questions, you can always get in touch with me personally. My email is dan@marketingnaturally.com. And thank you guys so much for coming to the webinar. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, just send me an email and I will see you in 2 weeks. Thanks a lot.